the biggest takeaway from this is who am I? The journey is the most important part, and who am I spending the journey with? And when I say that, right? So we've been to Dallas and went and connected with a bunch of our friends. We were in Austin, and then what was it? From before Austin, I was in Salt Lake with my family because my dad had a little bit of a health scare. But I was able to do that because of the way our businesses are set up. I get a phone call at 6 a.m. I fly out at 12. I'm there at 3. I drive directly to the hospital to go see my dad. And luckily, nothing was wrong, but that was all possible because of our businesses. But still, at the same time, I was able to do it. Like, I can spend time with the people that I love, even though I live in a different place and everything else. Some other takeaways from the Powerhouse Mastermind, one of the bigger like quotes is the amount of bullshit you can put up with and stress is probably directly correlated to the amount of money you make. And I never thought about it this way up until a couple weeks ago. One of our companies was growing at an insane rate. And I was like, holy shit, I'm stressed out of my mind. I don't know what the fuck to do. What am I doing? And then I throttle it back because I'm scared. Like, oh, no, slow everything down. Oh, no, I'm scared. Like, I'm freaking out. Oh, no, I'm too stressed. Right? I'll grow past that. Right? But if I was a more seasoned entrepreneur and I was used to it and I'd learned that skill of, okay, no, this is just where we're at. This is how I handle it. I could have kept growing it and it would have grown more and I would have made more money, which is fascinating to me, right? Jeff Bezos just still solves problems. He has different problems. Next thing, overloading channel bandwidth. This is from a dude who runs a company called Lady Boss. They've done $175 million in revenue. And he said, if there are too many priorities, there are no priorities, which is very, very true for me. Like, think about you as an entrepreneur, how many priorities you have, and you're working in 9 different ways. And it goes back to the focus thing. You can't get them all done. If you can't get them all done, your team's for sure not going to get them all done. So that's why I love traction, right? You have 3 rocks. Work on these 3 really important things for this quarter, get them done. If we get the rocks done beforehand, all right, then we can move on. If not, then we probably have too many priorities. For me personally, I might even take it down to 1 rock, right? Like, okay, we have this 1 rock. Let's get this shit done and give that person that 1 rock they need to handle. And that's all that matters. The other thing that he spoke on that really stuck out to me was you're trying to grow, but don't try and grow a team just from inside out. And that's one thing we tried to do. We had people bitching because they weren't getting fucking hired up and everything else. Well, they weren't getting promoted up. And the first thing I said to everybody was, that we've grown at like a 400 to, I don't even know what the rate is. Let's just say exponentially over a year. We've grown exponentially over a year. I cannot train you fucking fast enough to do the job I need you to do. I'm going to hire on someone else who's already been trained. I'm going to pay them really well. I'm going to put them in there, and that way they can do it. Eventually, yes, you'll get hired, but if you don't have the skills, and we probably at this point don't have the skills to develop you to get there, and someone else already knows how to do it, why wouldn't I just hire that person? Because if I hire you, I'm going to promote you. You're going to do it. You're going to suck at your job, and I'm going to have to fire you because you're not good enough, and then you're hurting the collective. And that, I mean, if he's having that type of stuff, right, it's going to be this way for fucking ever. And that's something I need to get over. Recruit the team more and develop less skills. Hire on skills and great people before you try and learn the skill and then teach again. So quit trying to learn the skill and teach again and just hire and take the fast track. Yes, it gets harder because we have it's a different culture base. Like, okay, yeah, we hired from outside and there's a risk of them not matching our culture and we ran into that. But how can I just find the perfect fit and plug and play? Because if I'm going through and I have to keep learning a new skill after new skill, then I have to teach that new skill. Think about the amount of time and effort that I put into that, to where if I would have just hired on someone who's really good, and let's probably pay above market rate for those wages, I'm going to be better off. And even if I am paying them above market rate, they're going to grow the company to where, okay, yes, we're making less margin, but I will take let's call it, we're only making 50% margin, and that'd be an amazing margin, instead of 65% margin because we hired this person, but our 50% margin is on 200 million and our 6% margin is off of 50 million. Let's do it. Let go of your ego, quit being cheap, and let's just hire that person and go. That was something that stood out to me. The next thing from a dude named Bedros, and he was the first speaker, was what do I want to do that will grow my business that is very, very specific, to where everything I have been doing and thinking is not specific at all, or it's just not specific enough down to a T. This is what it's going to look like. This is how it's going to happen. I wrote it down. Here's how we go. Like, again, he was like, even, bro, why did you come to this mastermind? Like, what do you want to take away? Why are you working today? What are we going to accomplish? And how does it look? As stupid and simple as that sounds, I feel like and that goes into like the intention, right? Bro, you don't have any intention. Like, what is the true intention that you are going to follow, that you're going to make sure this shit happens no matter what? So what I took out of that is my goals need to be a lot more specific. And what is the exact outcome I want it to be? And then I need to implement that really, really fast. And he goes in and talks a little bit more. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of really, really smart people, but really whoever implements faster and then pivots out of it and then implements faster out of that pivot again is really going to make more money. Because if we're implementing fast, we're going to get really stressed. And that goes into that. Okay, well, the more stress I can handle, the more money I make. But then the faster I can implement and then handle that stress better after I made that pivot will help me grow more. So if you can apply those two things as different skill sets, right? I do think implementing fast is a skill set, because you have to overcome, if you're an entrepreneur, right, you're thinking like, oh, all these different things. And that's why a lot of people can't handle being an entrepreneur, because you have like all these what ifs and said, fuck it, jump, do it, go, implement it. All right, I'm really stressed because it didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to. Nothing ever really has ever worked out the way I wanted it to. It didn't work out that way. Okay, sweet. Let's pivot. Wow, implement that pivot. Same thing happens, same thing happens, same thing happens, same thing happens. But then I can apply those two things of, okay, well, I can handle the stress and I can implement the idea that I came up with really fast, right? If we strike faster, then we'll make more money. I can't tell you the amount of ideas that I've had for quote unquote businesses to where I just thought about it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. But I didn't implement like that. Someone else started the business, or someone else implemented the idea. Someone else captured that first real group of revenue, or that first group of profit. Generally, the first person into the marketplace makes the most money, and they become the monopoly, like Xerox, Kleenex, whatever, like Ford. All of those things, they tend to be the first ones. Even Tesla. There's a lot of great car companies, but Elon Musk did it faster and did it right now, and then he pivots really fast. There's three different things everybody needs: financial success, financial security, and significance. And then I thought about myself, like, yeah, like I want security, and that comes from financial security, but I want security in my family. I do want financial success. I don't know how much yet, and that's a problem for me, because then if I don't know how much I want, how am I going to get there? And then significance. I think that, I mean, for me, this goes into my ego thing. Like I was talking to my mentor, and I was like, bro, I want to be the best. I was like, why do you want to be the best? I was like, I don't know, I just want to be significant. Right? Whatever fucked up things happened to you in your childhood that you can't get over yet, that's why it's that way. But you still, it's okay to want to be significant, and it's just a part of life. That's some of the things I took from Bedros. The other thing he said, I need to bring in better talent. Focus until you hit a goal, and then start something else. But nothing else matters until we hit that goal. Then there's some other things on e-com, text messaging, client retention. The lady boss guy at a point in time was spending $60,000 a day in ad spend. And one of my biggest takeaways from him again was make more mistakes, make more bad decisions, and it goes into implementing, make decisions, and then ask what your customers want. All right. So instead of coming out and releasing a product that we really didn't send out a survey for, why don't we just email a bunch of our customer base, email our list, and say, hey, what do you think would benefit our company the most? And what would really not even that, what would benefit you the most? What do you need? Oh, well, I'd like X and X. And then we take that list, and they filled out the survey, and we can keep sending it out till we get the amount of results we want. I'm like, hey, guess what? Here's the trend. 60% of people said X. Let's go release that product. As stupid, simple as that sounds, I run into it, and he said he's run into it. And if he's making significantly more money than me, I'm probably going to run into it again. But keep shit simple. Other thing that I thought was fascinating, he was like, what are the risks to your company? How can you protect your company? You need to know. So with COVID, nobody ever thought that would happen, but it's a risk. Nobody thought the supply chain shit would happen, but it's a risk. A company, he was using an example of a company who went from 600 million a year in rev to nothing because a TCPA law changed. $600 million a year in revenue. That, to me, that's a big business. If you sell that, you're selling it for billions. In an instant, it's gone because you built it on a glass house, or you didn't acknowledge, the fact that it was built on a glass house. And so when we are starting another company or starting a different company or pivoting, what are our actual downsides and like what's our risk mitigation? Are we actually thinking about it, or are you going out and being a wild west entrepreneur and just shooting? Yes, you built up a company that does millions of dollars a month, but if it can go away in an instant, there's no enterprise value, then what's the point? Like, you really worked on something for nothing. To where I heard two other instances of one dude who was an amazing guy named Jeff at the mastermind who built out an app similar to ManyChat before it, and then Facebook eliminated him and sued him. Wild. But there was another dude to where I was talking to these other guys, and they had a really good friend who was 17 years old, and his company was doing, like, it did at a point in time, $500 million in revenue off of free trials. But again, the government took him out because he somewhat built it on a glass house, and it was gone. All that money, all that hard work, because you didn't do things that were compliant, or you didn't think about the glass house you were building the glass foundation you were building your house on, it didn't stand. So like, what type of foundation are you making for your business? The other thing you talked about is you need to be a financial auditor more, especially as you get to scale. There's a lot of moving parts that are going on. Someone's probably stealing from you, and someone is probably not doing their job. So you need to be able to financially audit more. And then he said, don't neglect your home life. And he said this: I refuse to do things I don't enjoy, that don't serve my family, that don't serve my God, and they're not fun and business. If it's not that, he says, fuck it, I'm not doing it. So he doesn't do laundry. He doesn't do dishes. Because, like, I mean, that amount of time, and this is true, like, okay, if I'm doing something and I'm not spending time with my kid, and at this point, we only get Zeno half the time, how much money is that time with my son worth, or that time with Kalani worth? You really got to weigh that out. And I tell my dad all the time, like, no, you aren't going to work on the yard. Let's just hire someone to do it so you can spend time doing other shit. And it's true. For me, I just want to spend time. I mean, yeah, for my business, because we serve a lot of other people in our business and our clients. But if I'm doing something and I truly don't think it's fun, why the fuck am I doing it? Why? I don't need to. I make enough money to where I don't need to. Like, it's not really going to serve me. Don't do it then. Don't do the laundry. Don't do the dishes. Fuck it. Learn how to develop a new skill to make more money so you can hire that out. Shit, go sell a couch a month. Like, oh, well, I found this couch on Craigslist, blah, blah, blah. I did this. Okay, now I sell it. That pays for my housekeepers and maids. That's something that I think, like, higher level work. You need to figure out what level of work are you doing and how can we outsource the rest. Another thing you talked about is assuming that employees can hold themselves accountable. And he has an all virtual team like we do. He's like, bro, just give them a set check-in time and a set checkout time, or everyone's just going to take advantage of you 100%.